I need to capitalize on this thing called attention, because if you were on radio back in the day, or if you wanted to be on TBN back in the day, if that was ever anything that you wanted to do, it's the same exact thing. It just so happens to be a different medium. We're all content creators, and the life that God has given you, the habits that God has given you, the history that God has given you, the power that God has given you, in your brokenness, in your past, in your trauma, and how you overcame that's for someone else. It's billions of people on earth. At least 100,000 of them are going to relate to that.
I am so excited to have with us today Rohn Starling, who over the years has built not only his own personal brand, but has helped churches, pastors, and leaders all across the world do the same. And I love his approach because it's simple yet effective, and he believes that the church should be at the forefront of what social media is doing. So without further ado, enjoy today's conversation with Rohn Starling.
For those that are watching, listening, we're at a conference called SALT.
Yeah.
And it's been epic. They have a whole podcast set up, which worked out perfectly.
Literally.
They knew we were coming.
They created a space for us.
Exactly.
See, where you're going, God's making space for you.
Exactly.
And you know it's for you when there's a space for you.
Bro, we could end the podcast now, bro. That's it. But yeah, so as soon as I knew we were going to be in the same city and there was a podcast space, I'm like, man, I got to get my boy Ron on there.
Man, thank you. It's an honor. It's a privilege. It's actually just really cool to meet you. I feel like we followed each other for so long that I felt like I physically, I was like, no, we've had dinner together. We've
already known each other.
And when we met, I was like, wait, we've never physically met before. That's so insane.
First time.
It's the first time. But it felt like we've been friends forever.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I was like, man, I got to get Ron on here, Sunday Social Podcast, to just talk out. Obviously, we do social media for churches. You have a lot of expertise in that area. So I just wanted to pick your brain and ask you questions about it, and whatever comes out, comes out. But the main goal of this podcast is just to equip people that are in their churches, small, medium, large, whatever the context is. But obviously, in this age of social media, it's important that we utilize it as a tool to be able to just continue the gospel and reaching people. So
I think it's super important. If you are not using the tools, think of Paul, right? Paul used every tool he possibly could. He went to school, he learned every language, he went to different cities, and he understood the context of the city that he was in and spoke to them the way that they needed to be spoken to. And I said this once before, but Paul would go into Colosseums and meet people there.
Wow.
But our Colosseum is now on our phone. There's it's millions of people on their phone every single day. And if you're not utilizing the medium to reach people, you're actually speaking into a void. Right now, no one's in a Coliseum. So if you speak to a Coliseum, what you're doing is practicing.
Wow.
And when you're on your phone, you're speaking to the masses.
Wow.
So I we're in this culture. Brady Shearer says it the best. We're in the biggest shift in 500 years or something like that. And the shift is right here. Mm-hmm. You spend 7 hours on your phone. I know what your watch time is. It's 7 hours.
Come on.
If you are on your phone and you're not reading your word, you're not at church. Imagine the people who are not as super saved as you.
Right.
They're not on their phone. They're not at the church. They're not reading their Bible. Give it to them. Put the gospel on your phone so that people can experience the gospel online.
Love it. Yeah, I 100% agree. What do you feel like is the purpose of social media for church, right? Because you have your Sunday gathering, and maybe you have a weekly gathering, midweek, whatever. Mm-hmm. With that, what do you feel like the main purpose is for social media for church specifically?
Is to be social. If you think of social media as another form, as being the hands and the feet of church, then you win. For example, someone I have literally never met. I can't remember her name right now, but we DM on Instagram and we've skipped the formalities. There's no hey, this is my name. It's more so hey, I know about your family. I know you want to move to Tulsa. I know that my church is your home church. And her son passed away the other day.
Wow. And
she was like, hey, can you please pray for me? We just found out, I'm literally about to cry. We just found out that our son passed away. I don't want to give the details. And now it's I get to do something about that.
Wow.
One, I don't just get to pray, right? But I get to, let me talk to the team, let me talk to the church. How can we figure out, like, you know, getting the funeral done and what the obituary, who's going to do all those things. And it's like, I get to be the church in that moment and tell our staff and tell the team. And it's like, I think we just forget that it's a means. Like, we forget that these numbers are people. Ooh. We forget that these usernames and that these, like, oh, what's your Instagram handle? That's a person.
Right.
It's not just an Instagram. That's a life. That's a life that needs to get saved. That's a life that needs experience. So I feel like social media needs to be used as a means of outreach, but it's not in your outreach department. But you got to have someone on the team that's thinking like it. Hey, there's people that are DMing us. They can't pay their rent. What do we do?
Wow.
Okay. So, hey, we need to connect them to this person. And this is what our protocol is. This is what it is that we do. If you don't know what that is, now you have someone that's like, bro, the church didn't, like, I've given tens of thousands of dollars to the church and I couldn't pay gas for my car and they couldn't help me out. Well, maybe it's because you're just talking to a social media girl. Her name is Myra, and she actually don't know what's going on. She's never experienced this before. She don't even got a car. She can't put gas in her car. She don't know what that's like. So there's a disconnect sometimes because we forget that social media is also a part of church. And then I see pastors and I see churches like online is bad, and it's like, no, online is a way that you can reach someone without having to leave the building yet. Until you find a reason to leave the building, and then you go and do that thing. And I mean, I've gotten to see that. I've gotten to see my church be the hands and feet and reach people around the world and give tens of thousands, cars away, homes away. Like we gave away, like, I think $500,000 to Zeal Church in Colorado. And I'm like, I ain't never been to Colorado. Yeah. But that's helping people.
Wow.
Like we gave money to help people during the hurricane. So like, and I'm not just saying like that was just because of social media, but because of social media, we're able to see what's happening. We're able to see the people and know what's going on and then be an aid. So that was a very long-winded answer. But
no, dude, I think that's so true. I think a lot of people overanalyze it, overthink it, but it's like, dude, we're all just human beings found a common place on the internet.
Yes.
But at the other side of this profile picture or this username, there are people.
Yes.
There are people physically typing, physically watching, physically looking.
Mm-hmm.
So why not treat it as so?
Mm-hmm.
I got to get a little sneak peek. I kind of snuck into your session yesterday that you did. Ron had a session about how to create, infectious social media. And one of the things you said was a cheat code for you was just engaging with the people that are engaging with you.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're on social media, like, instead of just watching it, if you like the content, like it. If you want to say something about it, say something about it. Because that's what you would do in person.
Yes.
I'm not just going to stare at you.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That'd be awkward.
Even if I didn't like it, like, even if I saw something that I didn't like, a part of me is going to be like, oh, that was so amazing. Like, I'm still going to say something about it. Be honest. Like, maybe your friend did something and it wasn't that great. Hey, I think you did a valiant effort. Mm-hmm. That's still a comment that you can comment on someone's, like, what did you think? Well, I had some thoughts, but I honor and appreciate that you actually did the thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's not hard to do, even if it's not your cup of tea. Hey, I support you. I'm going to support that thing, but I'm going to tell you in private, maybe like, hey, lock in. So, yeah.
No, but it made me think, like, man, I feel like not a lot of churches are actually doing that. I don't see a lot of churches in comment sections of their congregation.
No.
And I'm like, why haven't people done that before?
Yeah, it's such a small thing.
If someone's having a birthday party, why not just slip in a happy birthday or send them a gift card? You know what I mean? Like, bro, we're people.
We're people.
And as the church, our responsibility is to care for the people part of our church.
Yeah.
And so it really, even though such a simple concept, opened my eyes to say, man, there is a gap that we can fill, and it's just being the body of Christ to care for people when they need to be cared for.
100%.
Like, if my church comments on my stuff, man, I'm over the moon. I'm like, holy, like, you know what I mean? Who's okay? Tyler the Creator is releasing an album on my birthday. Okay.
If I comment on his thing and he tells me happy birthday, I'll probably cry. Like, not to say like, oh, I idolize this person.
Yeah.
I think he's amazing. He's an incredible artist.
Right.
He happens to be dropping an album on my birthday. And I'm like, bro, like, I can't wait to listen to all the things. And he's like, yo, thank you for listening. Happy birthday. I would genuinely flip out. But like the same exact way that you feel when your pastor mentions your name on a sermon, they'll say your name and your heart starts to beat a couple times. It's the same as that feeling that you get when they DM you or when they like your things or when they support your stuff. It feels great. So, and it's such a simple thing that we can do. I mean, the Bible says to love your neighbor as yourself. And if you're not loving your neighbor, then what are we doing? So,
dude, yeah, it's literally biblical. Like, love other people as you would want to be loved.
Yes.
Law of reciprocity. I'm gonna do something, it'll eventually come back, and even if it doesn't,
that's okay.
It's cool.
That's okay.
Like, I got to brighten somebody's day just by leaving a cool comment. And bro, I be seeing you leave tons of comments. I'm like, Instagram has that thing where it says like commented, and I'm like, it always says Rohn Starling. I'm like, yo.
Bro, sometimes I be forgetting. This morning I was looking through old posts and I was like, I should comment. I just thought to comment, and I looked through and I had already commented. I was like, all right. But one of my favorite things, it's become a thing for me. I started this when I was 18, so I've been in the comments since I was 18. But one of my favorite things is when I comment something and everyone else thinks it's funny.
Yeah.
And it's so my personality. We sat next to each other at church. Did you hear me make jokes?
Yeah.
Bro, whenever I'm in a sermon, like I'm like, she's cooking me right now, bro. Like it's just my thought. Like I have stage 5 brain rot right now. And so I do the same thing in the comments. And my goal is to make people laugh. Sometimes I'll go to the movie theaters and I'll make a joke in the movie. And my goal is to make the whole movie theater laugh. And it's like, it's probably not a good idea. You probably don't want to go to the movies with me, but hey, you'll have a really great time and you'll probably laugh a couple times. So, hey, see you at the movies. So it's the same concept.
Yeah.
And I just think it's so fun. I have this one comment that's like 3 likes away from 100K.
100K?
Yeah.
Can you say what the comment is? Or like, what is the video? Do you know?
Dude, it was from like 6 months ago.
That is crazy.
And I just remember looking at it. It's like 99.9 thousand likes.
That is wild.
Yeah.
But hey, that could funnel to you somehow. I mean, if you're looking for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
People could be like, who is this funny guy?
It does not benefit me whatsoever, but I think it's the funniest thing in the world.
I want to kind of pivot a little bit. So you have helped and consulted and strategized with a lot of pastors in this space, help them build their brand, things like that. I just wanted to get your opinion on that, because I feel like there are like kind of two camps. One is like pastors want to build their personal brand, but then or they're on the flip side where it's like they may not like the spotlight as much, or maybe see it as kind of vain in a sense to have that kind of attention. Do you feel like pastors should build their personal brand? And if so, like why or why not?
I think everyone should build their personal brand. It's kind of like, you know, when you see a stock and it's like low and everyone's like, oh yeah, cool, and you kind of you know you should do it, but you don't invest in it, and then it blows up, and then your heart hurts because you never invested. I literally remember as a kid, God literally told me, I'm not even kidding, God was like, just put $20 in Bitcoin. It was pennies on the dollar. And I go, God, I don't know anything about investing. I'm not going to put $20 in Bitcoin. Look at Bitcoin now. It's literally $20,000 a share, like minimum.
That is crazy.
I would have been living differently. But I feel like a lot of people do that with social media. They're like, oh, I'm not going to hop on that trend, or I'm not going to do this thing. You're not going to be known for the trend that you did. You're going to be known that, like, and the point isn't even to be known. The point really is, it's like, I need to capitalize on this thing called attention. Because if you were on radio back in the day, or if you wanted to be on TBN back in the day, if that was ever anything that you wanted to do, it's the same exact thing. It just so happens to be a different medium. And when social media is no longer a thing and we're doing something else, and it's AR, VR, or whatever the case may be, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Not because I'm just hopping on whatever's cool, No, I'm going to preach the gospel
Right.
on the next medium. It doesn't matter if it's Facebook or Instagram. It Musically could come back today.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, let's do Musically. Let's
Right.
do Vine. Let's make, okay, 6 seconds. Cool. That's where everyone's attention is. I'm going to go there and tell people about Jesus.
Yeah.
And for the people that are on the fence, they're like, yeah, I just don't want to do that. I think we have to think of it differently. It's being all things to all people.
Yeah.
You think Paul wanted to go to school? You think Paul wanted to be on, like, bro was on the road to Damascus, he met Jesus, he was there for 2 years. Like, and then you know what he did? He went to every city and said, I, Paul, an apostle. That ain't nobody else tell that brother that. It was Jesus.
Yeah.
And he was like, I don't care what you say. It's me and God. God told me to do this.
Yeah.
Lock in.
Right.
Paul went to like 9 other cities before he got to Rome. He didn't want to be in Ephesus. He didn't want to be in, he didn't want to do none of that. He didn't want to go to jail.
Yeah.
But he just did it. And it's like, hey, look, if Paul can do it, I could do it. If God calls me to do this along the way while I know what I'm doing, then, you know, I could do it. You know who's doing a really good job? Philip Mitchell. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, he got the accent.
Yep.
Bro is cold with it.
Yeah.
He's cold with it, but he's unapologetic.
Right.
I didn't want to do this.
Yeah.
I wanted to be an accountant.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I wanted to be in the streets.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, DMX, my bad. Like, you know, like, but he's like, I'm doing what I got to do for God.
Yeah.
And that's the dopest thing in the
Right.
world. So if that's the case, I'm going to do what I'm going to do for God. He's getting big, not because he's trying to get big. He's getting big because he's doing what he's made to do for God.
That's good.
And if I'm going to do what I'm going to do for God and record it because that's where people are, why not?
Yeah.
And you know what's really cool about him? He's like, it's not about me. I don't want the fame. I don't want the attention. But if I have to do it, I got to do it. And I think that we should all take that position. We should all take that role. Hey, look, I don't want to go and do all the things, but man, I think I'm supposed to.
Yeah.
I feel this in my spirit. There's a deep conviction within
Right.
me. I got to go do this. Like, it wasn't like, I didn't wake up and be like, I want to go speak at these things. Like,
Yeah.
no, it was, oh God, you're giving me, like, you're putting a weight within me.
Wow.
I realize that the wisdom that you've given me is not just for me. Oh, this is helpful. And then I sit in my room and I'm like, God, I'm scared. I don't know what to do. I've never done this before. I've only spoken to 10-year-olds. Like, these are real thoughts that I think.
Wow.
Like, I was a kids pastor for like 5 years. So talking to a 12-year-old, easy. Talking to 28-year-olds, a little bit more difficult. Talking to 50-year-olds, I don't know exactly if what it is that God gave me is for you, but I know it's for a child. And it's like, okay, God. And then what's even crazier, this is so deep, like in the remnants of my brain, I remember when God was like, I need you to lock in and be a part of young adult ministry. And I'm like, I'm a young adult. I ain't really got it like that. And I consistently gave God my no. And God was like, I can't keep asking you. I have to give it to someone else.
Wow.
And I watched as he gave it to someone else. And then they dropped the ball. And it was the most devastating thing to experience. It was even more devastating that God told me, he was like, you have to serve that person. I'm like, I got to serve the person that has the thing that you told me? Nice. And it was the most humbling thing. And I never want to be on the receiving end of that ever again.
Wow.
If God told me to do it, I'm just going to go for it.
Love it.
So, yeah.
Yeah. What I love about you and what I've seen you kind of preach to people here at the conference too, it's like, man, you don't have to come up with content, just be the content.
Just be the content.
It's already in you.
Yeah.
Like, just turn the camera on and record yourself.
Yes.
You're in a coffee shop studying for a sermon. You're with your team doing a leadership talk. Like, man, why not utilize those moments to just record and put that message out there? And
Yes.
at the end of the day, like you said earlier, it's just about attention.
Yes.
The medium 50 years ago, 30 years ago was radio, was TV, whatever it is. Now we have the opportunity more than ever to just put our voice out there and get the message across. And whatever the medium of the future is, with maybe it's holograms, I don't know.
Just go for it.
Just go for it.
I've been listening to a lot of Myron Golden, and he said this. He was like, God thought he had, not God thought, God had the best information ever, and he decided to put it in a book.
Wow.
And I was like, I should write a book. Like literally it was like, God is the best content creator ever, and he put it in a book so that we can consume it all the time.
Wow.
And so we're content creators. We're a reflection of God. Brother, write the book, make the thing. Everything that God is already asking you to do is probably already dormant within you. Just go for it.
Yep.
So that didn't go the way that I wanted it to go, but at the end of the day, if God creates content and decided to put it in a book, and if I create content and I decide to make it a video so that the book lives forever, or that I do actually make a book, there's just different mediums and formats. There were no video back then, but like I'm positive that would have been a thing.
Yeah.
So, we're all content creators, and the life that God has given you, the habits that God has given you, the history that God has given you, the power that God has given you in your brokenness, in your past, in your trauma, and how you overcame that's for someone else.
Yep.
It's billions of people on earth.
Yep.
At least 100,000 of them are going to relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and I don't think you have to like try to be somebody or do something. I heard I think John Rush say this. He said, "Your weakness is your weapon."
yes,
And it's like, man, the things you feel like you are not good enough for, the things you feel like, man, I don't know why I'm like this, or why I think this way, or the way that I dress, whatever it is, you consider that a weakness. But what he's saying is like, it's your weapon. It's the thing that makes you strong. It's the thing that helps you defend. It's the thing that makes you unique.
Yes.
And I firmly believe, man, like if you're a pastor or you're a social media manager, whatever context you're in, the thing that makes your church different is the thing you should be highlighting.
Oh wow, that's so crazy. I remember realizing this when I was a kid, that every church has a special anointing, right? So the church I came from has a leadership anointing. It is very clear as day. That church produces great leaders,
yep,
like that are still serving in the church, that have been locked in for decades at this point. Like that pastor has a special anointing to develop leaders. We should focus in on that. And I mean, I just preached this message on generational trauma, and sometimes the promise that God has given you is actually within your brokenness.
Wow.
Joseph had this enmity between his 12 brothers. I mean, imagine getting beat up. Imagine getting beat up and hearing like, let's throw him in a pit. Like, whoa, that's traumatizing.
Yep.
But that goes way back. Jacob and Esau, his dad and his uncle, enmity between the two brothers. Isaac and Ishmael, enmity between two brothers. It goes all the way back to Cain and Abel. It's in his blood.
Right.
The brothers hate each other. There's always been a fight between the family.
Wow.
But you know what? The reason why I believe Joseph is at the end of that book, the reason why he names his son Manasseh, the reason why like he forgave his brothers is because he ended the curse and started a blessing. Literally because of Joseph, right? Abraham's dream, the promise that God gave to Abraham comes to life. You'll be a father of many nations. The promise given to Isaac, that comes to life. The promise given to Jacob, you're no longer going to be Jacob, you're going to be Israel. Israel becomes a nation right after that. Like it was 70 people that go into the land of Goshen, and it becomes millions a couple of years later before he dies. So you have no idea what promises you're answering by going back into your darkness, going back into your history, going back into your trauma, because you might be answering a promise that God gave to your father's father. And it's like, I want to do that. Your weakness that you think is the thing that's debilitating you is actually the thing that will enable you to start God's promise in your life. And it's like, that's for you. That's for your church. That's for your ministry. That's for your thing.
Come on.
But we curse the thing that we're bad at.
Yep.
And it's because a lot of people are scared to go into the dark. I realized this. Oh man, the Bible says that joy comes in the morning, right? And there's a reality to that. I used to think it's like the joy comes when the sun comes up. I'm like, oh yeah, that's so beautiful. The joy comes in the morning when the sun. No, the joy actually comes in the morning. When you mourn, when you run towards the darkness, you actually reach the sun faster.
Wow.
Because the sun is setting over here. If I run to chase the sun, it's always setting. But if I run this way, I'm actually running to the sunrise. And it's like, I need to run towards the darkness. I need to run towards my pain. I need to run towards my trauma and solve it and handle it with God. Wrestle with God like Jacob did. Because at the end of it, God can change my name. At the end of it, God can change my future. At the end of it, God can change. So Yeah, we was
Bro,
really
you
going crazy.
preaching.
That. So yeah, I got to.
People came to learn about social media. They getting a whole word. I'm gonna do the Tim Ross. Tim Ross just throw the mic.
Oh man.
No, that's
very excited
so
for this.
good though. It's so good, and it's exactly what I think churches should lean into. Like the thing that you feel like makes you weird or quirky or whatever word you want to use for it. Like that's the thing that it makes you.
100%.
Stop trying to be like the church next door and just be the church God's called you to be, because you are feeling a specific need.
Imagine trying to be someone else in the space that was made for you to be you. You're like, there's no way you'll win trying to be them when God literally said, I'm going to bless this person. And I mean, like, it's one of those things that you hear in church, like in youth ministry, like, don't be them, be who God made you to be, because God can't bless who you pretend to be. Like, of course, shout out Pastor Stephen Frederick. I'm pretty sure he was the first person to say that. But like, yeah, that's where insecurities come in. That's where intimidation comes in. Oh, this person's like everything I want to be. Actually, no. What if what you wanted to be isn't God's preference for your life?
Wow.
And God is asking you to be you. God is asking you to lean into like that you were like you didn't have a dad in your life and you were surrounded by women, but now actually it's not that like you're effeminate. It's actually no, you know how to care for women because you were raised by them and you found a male in your life or whatever the case may be. I don't know, like whatever your story is.
Yeah. Like
tap into that. Be who God made you to be. Listen to his promises. Understand what God told you and lock in.
Lock in.
Lock in.
That's the theme for this year.
That's like
that's like your phrase.
My birthday's next week. I'm pretty sure my word for 29 is lock in.
Lock. That's the caption. Lock in.
Lock in. But like, yeah, I can't spend any more time in my life trying to be somebody else.
Gosh.
I don't have the capacity. I don't have the time. I'm going to spend more energy trying to be someone else than I am myself.
Yeah.
And we might have talked about this. We're going to go back to social media. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. We'll circle back.
What I say in social media, everything that I do in social media, I filter through the Bible. And if it doesn't match with the Bible, I don't do it. And if it does, I lock in on it. But I say this thing where it's minimum efficiency, minimum effort, maximum efficiency. Yep. Right? I'm going to do the thing that I don't have. It's not out of who I am. It's not out of my personality. It doesn't cost me a lot to make this piece of content, right? But it warrants the maximum efficiency. If I can get the most out of it and do what I need to do, what I'm doing is I'm stewarding my time.
Yep.
What I'm doing is stewarding myself. And me trying to be someone else is a waste of my effort. And I don't get a lot of efficiency from it. So I need to look at what it is that I'm doing. I need to put the efficiency that makes the most sense to me. And this is how you prevent burnout. Efficiency that makes the most sense to me, that rewards the most amount of efficiency. So, or effort is the word. Effort, efficiency. So.
Love it. Yeah. Kind of tying everything back in, circling back to social media. What are some types of content you feel like you wish the church would make more of, or maybe it hasn't been made yet? Because I feel like what's so unique about you is you're kind of tapped into a bunch of types of content. Yeah. I feel like a lot of times in the church space, social media managers are just leveraging other churches, getting inspired by other churches. What are some things that you wish the church would do more of to be able to meet a certain need, or things that you wish they would do?
We would stop looking at other churches for content ideas and just I almost said this yesterday, but I never said it. I think a lot of us exist inside of this box, which is the church, and we just need to exist here, right? That's okay. But all of that is within another bigger box, which is just everything else. That's okay. You utilize the world for, not the world, but I mean like the trees, nature, life as your example. God speaks through those things too. God doesn't just speak within your church. So you think outside of the church, right? And another thing is, I just want to see people I want to see churches teaching other people how to be Christians. I've never seen a church do you didn't read your Bible today. here, let's go ahead and read this verse. You literally have a cheat code. The Bible app gives you a verse of the day every single day.
There's your content.
I see it every day on my phone.
Right.
You ain't read your Bible today? It's okay. I got you covered. Just go ahead and read the verse
Wow.
and give 1 point
Wow.
in 45 seconds. It'll change somebody's life because I know they did not read their Bible today.
Yep.
Right. Another thing could be, I just had it in my brain. Like just helping people put worship in their life. Like make a playlist, right? Put it on the internet.
Right.
Show people music that could completely change their atmosphere. Teach people how to pray. Teach people about fasting. Teach people about fix misconceptions in the Bible. Do skits. There's a guy, I think his name is John Mark. He does skits with himself, right? And he's usually talking to someone that's Gen Z, and he'll say the most profound thing. Every time I'm shook. Every single time I'm shook. And he's like, maybe that's not how you're supposed to talk to somebody. Have you ever thought about such and such and such and such?
Yeah.
Amazing content. You could even just do a video of you asking a question that God's been asking you. Like, oh, do you feel far away from God? I just want to let you know that God isn't the one that's running away from you. Think about it.
Whoa.
That's convicting.
Yeah.
Like, that's a small piece of content that will cost you nothing.
Yep.
Other than you just thinking of the prompt.
Yep.
And then saying it.
Yeah.
And so there's a plethora of things. And I have not promoted church, but I could still promote church within that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think you could promote it without directly promoting it.
100%.
One thing I like to tell people is like, you should provide value before you give an invite. Give value before you give an invite. Like, it's cool, hey, join us on Sunday, whatever, but like, man, what kind of value has the church provided for them as an incentive to want to show up on Sunday? Like you said, how am I getting better as a Christian?
Yes.
Like, how am I growing in my walk?
Yes.
Because the invite will come. They'll naturally know how to get to you. Trust me. People know how to use their phones. People know how to use Google Maps.
I don't need to tell you, put my address on the post.
People know what time your services are. Like,
It doesn't change.
it's not right. So I think at the end of the day, and this is beyond just church, brands in general, I love seeing people just doing the thing, and I get inspired by that, and I want to go then support the brand because of it.
Yes.
Right. You see Nike, they're not running ads on like buy my shoes. They're showing you what it looks like to have a shoe on.
You just cracked the code. You just cracked the code. The best companies do not promote like the product. They promote what the product makes you feel like. They promote the life that you live because of the product. I want to see churches show me what it looks like to be the person that they're talking about.
Yep.
We're all about community. I've never seen you hang out with anybody.
Right.
You're in every picture. You're in your pictures by yourself. What are you talking about?
Yep.
Community, what? There's no unity here. It's just you.
Right.
So it's like, I buy running shoes because of the runner.
Yep.
Like, oh, that dude's I'm literally running because I'm like, I want to run like they're running. Like that. I want that to be a part of my life.
Right.
I'm part of running clubs because I'm like, this is fun. Like, this is this is the life I want to live. I want to run on Saturdays.
Yep. Yeah, you're not running because somebody told you buy my shoe.
No.
You saw it because you saw the lifestyle. You saw what it could bring to you.
Bro, I spent $1,000 on running clothes, running shoes. I got these super expensive glasses that play music. Like,
those are fire though. I saw those you posted about
they're
them.
dope.
Those are sick.
I spent all this. I got these $300 shoes for what? To run?
Right.
Baby, I can only run 3 miles maximum. What am I doing? You know? So like, it's because of the lifestyle. I want it. Derek, I hate going to the gym. I hate it. I look like I hate going to the gym, right?
I'm not gonna judge.
But like, because I saw all these people run the Chicago Marathon, I'm gonna go to the gym. My commitment to myself is 28. I'm scared to say this because it's online. I'm probably gonna try to run a mile a day and work out, and then still run on top of that because I want to run for a marathon. why? It's because I saw all these people and the life that they're living, and how much fun it is, and how healthy they are, and what it's doing for their brain, it's what it's doing for their mental health, how they found a community.
So good.
I'm going to try my best to run a marathon in my 29th year.
So when we have you back on the podcast, hopefully you'll have done it.
That would be really cool. I don't know if I'm going to be
We'll run it back. We'll show the flashback.
We'll show the flashback of me. Give me water. Like, you know, but that means I have to change my life.
Yeah.
That means I have to drink water more.
Yep.
That means I have to eat healthier. That means I have to change my spending habits. That means I have to not hang out with people. All because I made the decision to run a marathon.
But think about, like, that's the power of content, though.
Yep.
That content convicted you to be like, you know what, this is what I want to do.
Exactly.
And they didn't say it outright.
Nobody.
They weren't condemning you. It wasn't a talking head shot of someone talking to you and saying, hey, do this. It was just, you saw and you got so consumed with the content that you're like, you know what, I think it's my time.
Someone who's not saved could see your life on social media and say the same exact thing. To me, that's worth it. You know how many people DM me? I didn't know how real you were. Like, I love what you're doing, and because of what you're doing, I decided to go to church. Like, I did have a friend that was like, she ended up getting converted to like Islam, and I was like, I might have did it wrong, you know. But at the same time, I'm like, my life made you think about religion in that way, where you were like, I'm gonna throw away my past, and I'm gonna try to follow, you know. And I'm like, although it might have been the wrong direction, I am still inspired. I probably need to lock in a little bit more, but like, I'm way okay with that.
Yep.
What brand are you producing in your life online that makes people say, I want to follow Jesus too?
That's it. Cool. Well, I think we're good, bro. I think we're good. I appreciate you coming on and sharing your wisdom. And yeah, I hope people can leave this conversation just understanding, man, you don't have to come up with the content, be the content. If you're leading a church, figure out ways just to capture what's already happening. Like, you got to just document. Document. Gary Vee says document over creating.
Yes.
Just document what's already going on. If your kids' ministry is popping, like, go record and see what they're doing over there and figure out ways to highlight that. If your welcome team is crushing it and people are wanting, I mean, I saw a church do that where they mic'd up the welcome person. You seen those?
Yes.
That's genius.
It costs nothing.
Literally, it's just saying, hey, can I just mic you? You're already doing it. Let me just mic you up and record you.
POV. I'm excited to greet you at church today.
That's it.
Oh my, that's so simple.
So simple.
You throw a trending sound on there, boom.
Easy
money.
So yeah, I think there are ways for you to create content that is not, there's not so much friction. You're not coming up with scripts. You're not scheduling. It's just be the church and be you and figure out ways to get the message of Jesus out
in everything that you do.
Boom.
Yeah.
Love you, bro.
Love you more, man.
Appreciate it.
This was amazing.
Let's go. All right. I think we're good.